Hi everyone, this is Melinda from MTZ Crew Designs. Welcome back to another tutorial from the Paint Couture creative team. Today I'll show you how I gave this interesting coffee table a fun and exciting new look with the help of iFlex wood products and Paint Couture paints. Okay, let's get started. So when I thrifted this coffee table, I had no idea what my plan was going to be, but I knew that the curves would provide some interesting inspiration. However, I was not a fan of the carved lines on top, so that's the first thing I addressed after giving a good clean with Paint Couture's Fresh Start. The first thing I'm doing is cleaning up the crevices of these lines on the top of the table. I want to make sure that it's really clean inside of there because I'm going to use Paint Couture's embossing medium as a filler to make the top of this table a smooth and flat surface. And I'm just using my plastic paint spatula to apply the embossing medium, and then I'm going to smooth out the top using the spatula as well. I'm going to allow the embossing medium on top to dry, and now I'm applying more embossing medium to the sides of the table using a stencil with a steampunk design. After the embossing medium is dry on top, I use a 220 grit sanding block to smooth out those areas. So my next plan is to use a really fun butterfly steampunk decoupage paper from Redesign with Prima on the top of this table. And since the entire table has already been scuff sanded, I'm now applying Simply White chalk style paint to the surface before I apply the decoupage paper. Having the color white underneath my decoupage paper will provide for the most bright and crisp color after adhering the paper. I'm now using a wallpaper adhesive to apply this decoupage paper. And I just work in small sections at a time to avoid having any wrinkles in the paper after it dries. Next, I'm going to start applying the iFlex wood products. I'm starting off with this gear applique. This is in this set number 56. I'm applying this one to the front of the drawers, and it will become an accent behind some interesting new hardware that I'll be adding later. And also remember that these appliques are heat bendable, so I'm using my blow dryer to bend the applique a little bit so it curves with the drawer front. I'm using Titebond Quick and Thick wood glue to adhere the appliques. I just apply a thin layer of glue all over the back of the applique, and then I push down on the applique to the surface and hold for about 30 seconds. This table has a lot of interesting curves and areas that play nicely with adding additional wood appliques for an embellishment effect. So next I'm using this cool iFlex steampunk clock, and it's number 2037. Next, I'm using some smaller gears around this embossing medium that was applied with the steampunk stencil. And these smaller gears come from set number 515. As you push down on the appliques, you may start to see some of the wood glue seeping out from behind. I like to use a slightly damp artist brush to wipe away any excess glue from the edges. And now I'm going to add this amazing steampunk butterfly applique from iFlex. This is applique number 2000, and I thought this was a really, really cool match for the total design that I'm going for here. And I'll continue adding additional gears here throughout the sides of the coffee table just to give it a little bit more wow effect with the design. All of these iFlex wood appliques are going to pair wonderfully with the overall design of the coffee table. Now that the decoupage paper is dry on top of the coffee table, I decided that I wanted to texturize the top extensively, actually. So I'm using embossing medium and my paint spatula, and I'm just kind of applying the embossing medium everywhere around the image. And while the embossing medium dries on the top of the coffee table, I'm going to start working on the sides of the coffee table around the front and the back. And I'm going to actually use black chalk paint at this point to paint over the entire surface and over all of the appliques. I'm using pitch black from the chalk style line, and I'm using it here in a bowl mixed in with a texture additive. And I just mix it up until it becomes almost like a brownie batter consistency. So not runny and not incredibly lumpy, but just kind of at a brownie batter consistency. And that's because I want the texture in the application and on the sides of the coffee table. I want that texture to be there for it to have that kind of grunge element. I know the table already is painted in black. This is, I guess, a factory finish in black, but I really want the chalk style finish. It's kind of a matte finish, and I want to cover up all of my appliques so that I can start painting them in various colors. So this is why I'm going in with the chalk style paint in black. And overall, at the end, you'll see just how different the sheen is. Now that the embossing medium is dry on the top of the coffee table, I'm going to start adding lots of different colors mixed with the same texture additive, just to give an ultimate grungy aesthetic to the table. Some of the colors will be mixed so that I can kind of achieve the look I'm going for, but I'll put a list of all the colors I've used at the bottom underneath the video. In some areas, I use my artist sponge to apply the paint, but it's mostly just used as a blending tool. Now that the pitch black chalk style paint is dry, I'm going to seal it with Paint Couture's Dead Flat Top Coat. So now I want to add some pop of color to the top of the coffee table. So I'm using Stardust Heavy Metal Metallic paint, and I'm adding the same texture additive into this paint. I'm just kind of folding it in and mixing it in, and then I'm going to stipple the paint throughout the top of the table. And I'll also add several other metallic paints to give the overall design that phenomenal wow factor. Now I'm using Copperhead metallic glaze on the base layer here. I just like the way the glaze plays with the rest of the metallic paint colors. So I'm adding it here as a base layer, and then I'm wiping it back with a shop towel, just a lint-free cloth. And then after I wipe it back, then I'm gonna go in with some additional metallic colors. I'm adding Lily Pad Luxe metallic paint now, but I'm not using a lot. I'm just brushing on a thin layer here. It's a really pretty green color from the Luxe Metallic line. You can see how with the Copperhead and the Lily Pad mixed together, it just gives a cool effect for the overall grungy steampunk vibe of this table. And now I'm adding various colors of Paint Couture's metallic paints and other decor waxes just to breathe life into these iFlex wood appliques. And next I'm using a decor wax from Redesign with Prima to create stripes on the corners of the table. And I'll also use the same decor wax to accent the framing around each side of the table. You can see I'll add it to the sides of the drawers and the sides of the tables here around the frame. It just gives it a little bit more wow factor, and it's really pretty and blends in lovely with the colors I've already used in the table. So a little fun tip about using these decor waxes after I've already sealed my piece. Since I did already seal my piece, if I get this wax in an area that I don't want it, I just use a little baby wipe and kind of wipe back the area. And I've done that in a couple spots here. And as one final embellishment, I'm going to line the sides of these drawers with another decoupage paper that complements the overall design. And here is my newly redesigned steampunk butterfly coffee table. I really love all of the fun elements that went into creating this little grungy glam steampunk piece. And that wraps it up for today's tutorial. Again, I'm Melinda with MTZ Crew Designs. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. And if I've inspired you to create with any of iFlex wood products or any of the Paint Couture paint products, please feel free to use my affiliate link that will be located down below, along with a full list of all the products that I use today. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of the amazing content that our Paint Couture creative team is putting together for you. Have an awesome day, everyone. Bye.